Thank you, Carlos. Chihuntamo, hello, in Miccosukee language. We welcome you to our celebration of Earth Day here at All Faiths Unitarian Congregation. When we started Earth Day back in 1970, we had no idea that 52 years later we'd still be celebrating it. It was a turning point in our history. My name is Joyce Ramay, and I will be leading our service today. Here you will find a diverse and inclusive spiritual community where we welcome people with many beliefs. You can bring your whole self, your full identity, your questioning mind, and your expansive heart. At All Faiths, we have more than one way of experiencing the world and understanding the sacred. No matter who you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, and whomever you love, you are truly welcome here. Is anyone visiting here for the first time today? If so, please raise your hands. Any visitors? Wonderful. We're delighted to have you with us. If anyone wants information about All Faiths or membership, they can see Fran Way, who's by the folding doors here after our service. And today, our children will not be going away from the service. They want to be here to celebrate Earth Day. This is all about their future, so I'm delighted they'll be staying with us today. On Wednesday at 10 o'clock, we'll be having our 10 o'clock scholar with Wellspring with Reverend C.J. McGregor. And Ernie Reed has an announcement to make about the great 70s party we're having.
Good morning, everyone. It's groovy to be with you today. Just wanted to remind everyone and inform those who don't know, this coming Saturday, the 30th, from 4 to 6 p.m., we're going to have 70s night, also called disco night, but you don't have to disco. So we're going to have appetizers and snacks. We're going to have a trivia contest, and pull out your old polyester, because we're going to have a 70s disco costume that will be judged. We're going to have trivia, and we're going to have a dance floor. So everybody who wants to get out and boogie, please come on out. Thank you so much.
The karaoke?
Oh, did I? Oh, Lord of mercy. Thank you. Karaoke. We will have karaoke. We will have a sign-up sheet, so figure out what song you want to sing. And we'll also have a request playlist, so your favorite 70s song, remember those and get ready. We'll have a request playlist. Just come on over and we'll have a great time. Thanks.
70s were lots of fun. 60s and 70s were those wonderful years of activism for environment and women's rights and racial rights and justice. And God, it was great to be alive in those years, and still good to be alive, but we're going a little backwards, so we got to stay active. Awaken that spirit of the 60s and 70s. Okay, now please rise in body or spirit as we sing together hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song.
At this time, we will light our chalice. And today is a very special day because we have an announcement. We have a new chair and a new vice chair of our board of directors. And Marge DeGalbo is our new chair, and Rachel Spiller has agreed to remain on as our vice chair. So I invite our new chair of the board, Marge DeGalbo, to come forward to light the chalice. As we light this chalice, we express our gratitude to Mother Earth, to plants, to air, to water, to wild beings, to the sun, to the great sky. May we learn to live in harmony with all creation. At this time in our service, we invite you to come forward and share any joys and sorrows that you would like to let us know about. New babies, weddings, funerals, illnesses. You're all here with family, so we invite you to come forward to share anything.
I hadn't planned to do this, but yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the death of my wife, Sally, who we were married for 53 plus years, met in 1964, married in 1967. That's my sorrow. It's a milestone I'm happy to be over. And my joys are my 3 children, Sarah, Annie, and Peter, who have helped me immensely during the past year.
We hold her in our hearts, and you must know love is eternal.
I'm lighting this candle for a dear friend of mine whose memorial I attended this week up in Minnesota, Vicki. She was just a wonderful listener, non-judgmental, very non-religious, so she will love that there's a candle being lighted at this church.
Hello, I'm Charlotte Blitt, and I have 2 concerns. Jan Gardiano has been at Lee Memorial because of weakness, and she hopes to be sent back to Calusa Harbor where she'll be able to get some physical therapy treatment there. You probably know her because she usually comes and sits towards the back. Also, Judy Whitcomb, who usually sits over there. We all have favorite spots. She usually sits over there. She was in the hospital for 9 days, but she's back home and will be going back up to Connecticut. Right now, she has 2 daughters that are with her, but she was very sick and not with COVID, but had a high temperature. So those are my 2 concerns. And then my joy is a late arrival person who isn't here yet. Her excuse is they live in Punta Gorda. So it's her birthday, though, today. So when she gets here, we'll have to all nail her for not getting here in time for my wonderful birthday, happy birthday wishes. So that's my joy. Thank you.
This is a plea for prayers and thoughts. I have a very dear friend from Iowa that now lives in Florida, and he is fighting the most severe kind of prostate cancer. It is his 2nd cancer, and just keep them in their in your thoughts and minds. Thank you.
Good morning. I have this great sorrow. We've had Earth Day for how long now, Joyce? 50 years? Nothing has changed. We have more pollution, more population, less songbirds. Everything is going in the wrong direction, and it ain't stopping. It's still going in the wrong direction. 40% of the people in this country don't believe in climate change. So it's sad.
Thank you, Michael.
Good morning. I'm here really with a joy. I want to talk about my oldest daughter, who you've heard me talk about before because she's had cancer. She was here recently for a 9-day visit with her husband and both my grandchildren, which was an incredible joy. My house still looks like a bomb went off, but that's okay. But before she came, she had the scan that I mentioned to all of you, and she had a biopsy. And we all held our breaths, because usually it's 3-4 weeks before you hear anything. That was the Tuesday before she came. And on Friday, the day before they flew here, we got the news that there is no malignancy, and she is cancer-free. So today is also my birthday, and it's the best gift ever.
I'm going to light this candle for planet Earth. The shirt I'm wearing today says, "Save the planet, save ourselves." As Michael mentioned, in 1970 we started the first Earth Day. At that time the population of Earth was 3.5 million. Now it's more than double that. Deforestation is rampant. We have all of the excess fossil fuel use. We have 1/3 of the food of the world is wasted. So we all have to get serious about our environment and saving our Mother Earth. And we hold all of you in our hearts and prayers, and may you have a healthy and happy week ahead. Now I'd like to ask everyone to close your eyes, take a breath of fresh, beautiful Florida air, and let us turn our minds and our hearts to today's service and contemplate all the blessings that our earth has given us. And now please rise in body or spirit as we sing Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the
Our opening words are a Pawnee morning prayer. Earth, our mother, breathe forth life, all night sleeping, now awaking. In the east, now see the dawn. Earth, our mother, breathe and waken. Leaves are stirring, all things moving, new day coming, and life renewing. Eagles soaring, see the morning, see the new mysterious morning, something marvelous and sacred, though it happens every day. Dawn, the child of God and darkness. And now Joan Marshall will sing for us, Sing It for the Earth.
Sing it for the creatures, sing it for the trees, sing it for the earth in need. Sing it from the mountains down to the seas, sing it for the earth in need. I can hear the birds a singing, listen to the earth in need. I can hear the oceans rolling, listen to the earth in need. Open your heart to the sound of the planet, her seas and her granite, those green fields of home. Hush, you will hear she is trying to speak. You will hear she is crying. So please open your mind to the challenge before us, her seas and her forest, the balance of life. Hush, it's time to stop denying. We've lost something beautiful's dying. So please open your heart to the sound of the planet, her seas and her granite, the green fields of home. Hush, you will hear she's trying to speak. You will hear she's crying. So please open your hand to the work of reclaiming the sacred we're naming, the power within. Another one's come before us, and yes, learn to sing as a chorus. Sing it for the creatures, sing it for the trees, sing it for the earth in need. Sing it from the mountain down to the seas, sing it for the earth in need. I can hear the birds a singing, listen to the earth in need. I can hear the oceans rolling, listen to the earth in need. And sing it for the planet, sing it for the earth, sing it for the earth in need. Sing it from the mountains down to the sea, sing it for the earth in need. Sing it for the earth in need.
Joan is not only our Broadway star, but she's chair of our climate action team. She's devoted her entire life to making change in this world. She's an inspiration to all of us. Our reading today is Love is Life, Believing in Itself. And it is by Manny Tonquat, who is medicine man and storyteller of the Wampanoag Nation. Hear, O humankind, the prayer of my heart. For are we not one? Have we not one desire? To heal our Mother Earth and bind her wounds. To hear again from the dark forests and flashing rivers the sacred, ever-changing song of creation. O humankind, are we not all brothers and sisters? Are we not the grandchildren of the great mystery? Do we not all want to love and be loved, to work and to play, to sing and dance together? But we live with fear. Fear that is hate. Fear that is mistrust, envy, greed, vanity. Fear that is ambition, competition, aggression. Fear that is loneliness, anger, bitterness, cruelty. And yet, fear is only twisted love. Love turned back on itself. Love that was denied. Love that was rejected. Love is life, creation, seed and leaf, and blossom and fruit and seed. Love is growth and search and reach and touch and dance. Love is nurture and succor and feed and pleasure. Love is pleasuring ourselves and pleasuring each other. Love is life, believing in itself. Life is a sacred mystery, singing to itself, dancing to its drum, telling tales, improvising, playing, and we are all that spirit. Our stories, all one cosmic story, that we are love indeed. That perfect love in me seeks the love in you. And if our eyes could ever meet without fear, we would recognize each other and rejoice, for love is life, believing in itself. And now please rise in body and spirit as we sing together hymn For the Beauty of the Earth.
For the love which from our birth source of all. To thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle hearts and mild, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Well, today is a very special day as we're celebrating Earth Day, and we talked about having our program today. We thought, what better speaker could we have than Betty Osceola? Betty is a Native American Everglades educator, conservationist, anti-fracking, and clean water advocate. She's a member of the Miccosukee tribe of Indians of Florida from the Panther Clan. Osceola was born and raised in the Everglades in 1967, and she's an airboat captain, the operator of Buffalo Tiger Airboat Tours near Miami, Florida. Since 2015, she has led 6 very lengthy prayer walks for Mother Earth in Florida, and even one at Standing Rock in the Dakotas against the pipeline. So it is indeed my great pleasure to welcome to our podium today the beautiful, wonderful, inspirational Betty Osceola.
Morning, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, all right. I always wonder who they're talking about. First, I would like to make a few words in my own language before I finish in your language. Akanagnoja, hemitan tangan hemi malen, apongochen in choli chai, yaye apoktien in choli chik, uslop mortitchen, chunospen, anawatskin imavokak, yelapkak, timahachik, tavastelik, tanawasichik. Yagnana, Timahacha Chachik Umashana Buktit, Introlichik Umachishanagan, Chihaglapalish, it just stay out delayed. When Yaya, it just was got a lucky Ilamalan, Imahachai, Unglish, Shanabish. Creator, I ask, and I say thank you for today for having the opportunity to put a few words in the thoughts and the minds and the hearts of the rest of your children here on Mother Earth, so that they'll have love and care for each other and give them the knowledge to help each other to care for your creation of this earth that we live on. And for that, as your daughter, I make this request for my fellow relatives, your children, and I say thank you. Okay. You know, we have, while sitting here listening, I always, when I speak, I don't write, because I say Creator puts the words in your heart that need to be spoken. And conversations, prayer with Creator are honest conversations with our Maker and what comes from their heart. And that is what he sees and hears, not the words that you utter, but what comes from your heart. So always carry that truth in your heart. And when we think about the Mother Earth, and I was looking at your shirt, and I was like, if I made that shirt, I would have put, save ourselves to save the planet. I would. Because in order to save Mother Earth, you have to save yourself first. Because of the illness of the children of Mother Earth, that's why we're seeing so much illness to the earth. When we're not happy and have that love for ourselves and that self-care, we look for other things to find that joy. But joy has to come from within and radiates out. And if you're not happy and if you're seeking something, you start looking to material things and accumulate material things, searching for that happiness, whether it's buying new clothes, new handbags, new cars, you know, having that compulsion to just order everything off the internet, or for the love of money. My people say money is a dead piece of paper with a dead person on it, so it makes you ill. And in striving to seek those joys, a tree has to be cut down. The earth has to be excavated. The blood of the earth has to be taken, the oil. The nourishment of the earth, the water, is misused and abused. In all those pursuits to seek happiness, that has to start here first. So all those desires and wants we put on the planet creates the illness of the planet to the pollution. And today's the young man that was speaking about nothing has changed, and it reminded me of a speech I gave to a law conference earlier this year. I was their keynote speaker, and they wanted they had some thoughts on the environmental law, what can be done. And my response was, and I want you to think about this. We can create all the laws, we can create all the movements, but what are we doing if we don't change the behavior? Because you already have some good laws on the books. And you can create new laws, but you're not doing anything besides creating new laws and new movements if you don't address the behavior. And if you don't create your future generations and foster those future generations to care about themselves, to love themselves, and also their right to have that and that existence on the earth itself. And that translates to the respect of the environment around them. So if we don't help foster that joy and life in our future generations, then no matter what we do in the future, we're not doing anything. So I want you to think about that. So I'm not a fan of labels, so I want to take my label off here. And because this doesn't identify who I am. And I think that's another thought I want you to think about, because nature is the only place that will accept you as you are, as who you are, and your place in the natural world, because we are a part of nature. And because we create all these labels, we create divisions amongst each other in our communities. And when you look at nature, for my people, nature is our teacher. That's where we're supposed to seek guidance on how to exist, because we are nature. And we have to find our truth in nature of what Creator put us here to be. The tree knows its truth. The tree knows what a tree is supposed to do. The water knows what water is supposed to do. The birds know what they are supposed to do. But the two-legged animals have forgot what they are supposed to do. Because we are two-legged animals. Nobody wants to think of themselves as an animal, but I'm a natural being in a natural world. I am a two-legged animal. And the more we all realize that we are two-legged animals, a part of nature, and change that relationship and get back to nature, is how we're going to save the planet. Is to remember the ecosystem isn't over here. We are in that ecosystem. And if we can start changing that and turning it around and talk about healing instead of restoration, instead of climate resilience, healing the climate. Because all of that is very spiritually important. Because when you start looking as if the climate is over here and you aren't a part of that climate, you can talk about climate change all you want, but you're not going to fix anything. Because you're disconnecting yourself from the climate. And when years ago, when my late uncle, Bobby C. Billy, one of the spiritual leaders of our people, was trying to stop a project, he came to me asking for help. And I'm thinking, this is my uncle, what can I do? He's supposed to be the one to guide me. But I'm like, Uncle, we can walk, to try to educate, because I don't protest, I educate. And even if I'm the only person who shows up to walk, we're doing it. And I said, that might even gain more attention. What is this, crazy, person doing beside walking miles beside the road, holding a sign. But lo and behold, a lot of people showed up because they heard something. Something told them they had to be there. And something told my uncle he had to do something. Something told me I needed to put myself on the line to do this. Because it's not easy to walk 100 miles, to make that commitment. Because it's all about commitment, right? And your truth to your Creator, if you're serious about something. Because we can always talk that talk, but not many people can walk that talk. And when we walked, it was about educating and helping bring people back to nature, to understand that tree also is a living being. Because a lot of times people say they want to fight for the environment, save the environment, but they ignore the very thing that they say they want to save. And the very thing that they ignore is themselves. Because you can't save the environment unless you save yourself. And you might thinking, what does she mean by save myself? I'm sitting in a church. I find joy in this setting. But when we're saving ourselves, we're also analyzing, are we truly happy? What do we truly need to find that joy? When we have our honest conversations with our Creator in the natural world, are we actually listening to those conversations, those messages from the environment around us? And if you truly are connected to the natural world around you, you'll hear all those messages, whether it's from the bird, the tree, the water, the air. They'll start talking to you because they know you're listening and that you're true to who you are with them. But if you're too distracted, and it's easy, even I can get distracted. It's easy when, we were worried about where we're going to get the money for our medications. Where are we going to get the money to pay our electric bill? Where are we going to get the money? See, there's a theme here, right? Where are we going to get the money to get our food? Where are we going to get the money to leave for our future generations? There's a common theme in all that. That dead piece of paper with dead faces. And when we save ourselves, we understand there's a different existence. And the more you detox yourself from that existence, the more you find joy in yourself when you get away from those stresses of life. Now, how does this tie back into the earth? Well, if we're putting less stress on ourselves, we're putting less stress on the earth. And how many billions of people we have, just think if they had less stress and how much less stress it would be on the earth. If we slept sometimes, instead of trying to be awake 24/7 and have all these things we can do 24/7, it'll be less stress on our resources, right? To provide electricity, to have the gas, the fuel, everything. Remember I was born in the later 60s, but I still remember when stores closed on the weekend. And I still remember when stores closed at sundown. Can you imagine if we just went back to that, how much energy consumption we could cut? Just by doing that. And also, too, if we understand that, it's great to have movements to cut carbon emissions when you're looking at cars, but when science shows that you're really not improving anything by doing that, the science shows it, but America doesn't want to pay attention to that science. There was a scientist in France, the Minister of Agriculture. And if you haven't watched this documentary called Kiss the Ground that's narrated by Woody Harrelson, She knows. I see that shaking of the head in the back over there. She knows where I'm going with this, right? And is that by keeping greenery, keeping our trees, changing the way we do agriculture keeps more carbon. It brings the carbon out of the atmosphere and puts it in the ground, which carbon is a good thing for the soil. It's not a good thing when we build roads and new construction, new development, when you're releasing all that carbon and it goes into the atmosphere. Yes, and they showed the science that by changing how we exist with the earth and how we leave our footprint and restoring the greenery brings so much more carbon out of that atmosphere. And maybe if you remember, was it 4 years? Within 4 years, we can turn things around. 4 years. But if we don't do that and just look at cutting carbon emissions from vehicles, we're not doing anything. You know, I'm not against cutting carbon emissions in vehicles, but there's other ways that are easier to make a difference. If you're farming local, like a lot of your churches do, with your crops that you grow on site of your churches. If you're advocating for development to be done in a different manner, you're doing something. If you're looking at we have enough fertilizer in the system already in our water. If you advocate for reclaiming that fertilizer out of the water and reusing it versus creating new fertilizer, you're doing something. If by just not having the television and spending time with your children, and like in the old days where everybody talked to each other and they didn't text each other through the phone even though they're sitting at the same table, sending each other text messages. If you spent quality time with the children and yourselves, you're doing something. And yesterday I was at an event for National Water Dance. We're synchronized all over the world. And, you know, everyone was like, well, we can do this for the earth. We can do this for the earth. We can, you know, do this climate action. You know, we can do this protest and demonstration. And I was sitting there, I'm like, if you want to do something for the earth, because I had already done it. I said, if you want to do something for the earth, go hug a tree and give it love. Go lay on the earth and give it love. To give back that love, because the earth and you is a relationship, because she's your mother and you're that child. Show your mother love. And who knows the power of just giving somebody a hug when they need it? The earth needs a lot of hugs. And you reciprocate that energy. And even science proves that. Because I always bring that up. It's like, because when we talk about it, you understand it. But a lot of times people don't believe anything unless there's science behind it. Because they forget science evolved from the natural world. So they want the science behind it. So science proves hugs work. And you have those miracles in the hospital, right? Nobody knows how it happened, but the person didn't have longer to live, and next thing you know, they're healed or they're at home. So there's that power of prayer, right? And when I do prayer walks and we walk in silent prayer, we found out that prayer is very powerful, and that also we found out people are afraid of prayer. They're afraid of prayer. When you have guns being drawn and you're like, you know, all I have is prayers. I don't know what's so, you know, dangerous about prayers, but apparently prayer is a dangerous thing. When you have that connection, I think it's dangerous because it takes you away from being trapped in their system. And when you know who you are and you have that connection, the less you are to be manipulated and then going down a different path if you know what your truth is and who you pray with. I think that's the danger about prayer, that people are so afraid. Also, too, I found out that people don't know how to pray. I don't know how to pray. I said, I just talk to Creator. I just have conversations. He's probably like, man, when is she going to stop? Or so, like, get in line, take a number in the back. But I found out that people have thoughts about what prayers are supposed to be. And that they have to be in a building, or there's a specific handbook that says this is how you'll pray. So I think, that's another thought I would like to give you, is to share how you pray. Everybody prays in a different way, right? Everyone has, a sense of community in a different way. But we're all the same. We just have, you got to have a little spice in life and different personalities, or the world will be boring, right? Just like nature. You have differences in nature, but they all work together as a community. Also, what I learned about walking and praying and connecting with nature is that and seeing the beauty of when the walkers, whether they walked the entire route or just a few hours, or didn't even walk but was in our community at that time, is seeing how when they find that joy of creation. And sometimes, we can be a little bit stubborn than other people, and it might take us longer. But I remember sitting on the south side of Lake Okeechobee on the very last day of a 7-day walk of 118 miles. And sitting there, we had about a mile and a half to go. And we took a break just to recoup and get our thoughts together and to process some of that. And I remember sitting on the bank looking over the water. And then the young man in his 70s, young man was sitting next to me, because we're all young in the grand scheme of things. When the young man was sitting next to me, and he had walked with me before and done different things with myself and the indigenous people before, but it wasn't until that very instance when we're sitting there looking over the lake, he goes, wow, the other day we were on the north side, and we were on the west side, we were on the east side, and we're sitting here. And he looks at me, he goes, I didn't get it until now. So we have to remember everyone's journey goes at different speeds. Eventually, with some guidance and even love and acceptance, they'll get there. We have organized schools that have, you got to learn this. I was a former teacher. You got to learn this by the end of the week and move on. You got to learn this and move on. But that's not how life is. It takes our time to go through the journey, and our journeys are always ever evolving in who we are, and accepting that. And to remember that we have to accept each other with open arms and compassion, and not judgment. And yesterday I was fortunate to be there to meet a school principal who was looking for guidance, because they opened up a small school in towards the Homestead area. Was the last resort school for kids. People had gave up on them, so they're in her school. And that's their last opportunity at education, because they've been written off. I'm like, how can you just write off kids? And she was wondering, what she could do. And I was talking to her that take your kids in nature, because nature will not judge you, it'll accept you. And if you connect your children to nature, and they find that joy and life in the living world around them, that they'll start finding that joy in themselves of who they are. And I gave her some resources of other for programs that had already been established where we're taking kids out in nature. Those children found somebody that loved them because they're looking for love and they're not getting it somewhere. That's why you have a lot of kids join gangs, because that's how, it may not be love, but it's a family. And that's where we're failing as adults. Because I'm a grandmother, I'm a great grandmother, and I'm a proud grandparent. But as adults, we're failing our children and writing them off. I don't know of any other culture. The indigenous culture, when you have children, they're not our children. Creator gave us that gift of life to care for his child. So it's never our child, but we're watching over that child while they're in our care. And that's a responsibility for the rest of your life, not when they turn 18 and you kick them out of the house. No, when Creator and Mother Earth gives you a child, they're your in the indigenous culture, and I can't speak for other tribes, but most tribes that I've encountered have this, we're taught the same thing. That's a lifelong responsibility until you die, until somebody in that relationship dies. For the rest of your life, that's a responsibility. And also when you become a grandparent, that's your responsibility to the children that you were gifted, is to help them care for those children that they were gifted. It's a lifelong responsibility. A lot of times, even in the indigenous culture now, sometimes, I raise my kid. Even so, I hear some indigenous grandmas, I raise my kids, so I'm going to the casino. I'm like, Creator didn't create that casino, And so and to save the earth, we have to remember why we were put here by Creator, was to care for his creation. And caring for creation is caring for who? Ourselves, right? All of our collective selves. So I'm going to end with that, so you can have some thought. I think hopefully I gave you a lot of things to think about and to reflect on. Thank you.
Oh, did that wake you up? When I was selecting the little quote to put at the top of the order of service today, I selected Walt Whitman, who's one of my favorite poets. We are nature. Long have we been absent, but now we return. Betty has asked us to return to that sense of identity. We are nature. We are all one. We're all part of it. We're all stardust. We're all bits and pieces of that Big Bang and the great creation. We are not separate. We are not alone. We are responsible for everything. Everything we do affects everything in the universe, and everything that happens in the universe affects us. And Betty, that was just a magnificent presentation. It touched me deeply. I've been a tree hugger all my life. I go and lie in the grass in the backyard and look at the stars, and I go out and look at the birds and the bees and the bugs, and I've got bunnies in my yard, and I've got black snakes in my yard, and I've got a little gecko that's living in my living room window that lives from my plant in the corner and goes back and forth in and out of the window, and I give a little bit of water every once in a while. There's something about being connected that way that she has addressed. It changes you. So Betty, that was just magnificent. Thank you so much. And now we come to the time of our offertory, and CJ, our minister, thinks that if you have a little bit of humor, it makes you a little more generous. So We have a question for you today. How do conservatives plan on fighting record high temperatures from global warming? They have a unique solution. Switch from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Our morning offering will now be taken.
You think I'm an ignorant savage, and you've been so many places, I guess it must be so. But still I cannot see that the savage one is me. How can there be so much that you don't know? You don't know. You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew, you never knew. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or asked the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Come run the hidden pine trails of the forest. Come taste the sun-sweet berries of the earth. Come roll in all the riches that surround you, and for once never wonder what they're worth. The rainstorm and the river are my brothers. The heron and the otter are my friends, and we are all connected to each other in a circle, in a hoop that never ends. High does the sycamore grow. If you cut it down, then you'll never know. And you'll never hear the wolf cry to the blue corn moon. For whether we are white or copper-skinned, we need to sing with all the voices of the mountain. Need to paint with all the colors of the wind. You can own the earth, and still it will just be earth until you can paint with all the colors of the wind.
Thank you, Joan and Carlos. That's so beautiful. What a beautiful service today, huh? Okay. Our closing words today are by Gary Snyder, and I invite you to join him in reading the words in your order of service. And if you wish, you may put your hand on your heart. I pledge allegiance to the soil of this land, one ecosystem in diversity under the sun, with joyful interpenetration for all.
Okay, I turned the mic on. Can you hear me now? All right. Yes. Go ahead. I'll repeat it for the sake of those at home. Hello, all of you. We're going to end our service in a slightly different manner. We're going to set up a soundtrack to a song called "Every Day is Earth Day Every Day, Celebrate." This is a song written by John Denver, and we're looking for your participation in this. Our message today has been very much about our own individual involvement with the natural world. And we're going to celebrate that involvement as we close our service today. Yes, if you want to get the thing set up here for the soundtrack. Is it set up over there? Oh, wonderful, good. So get ready, everybody, and we will celebrate Earth Day together. Celebrate morning, the cry of a loon on the lake in the night, dreams that are born in the dawn's early light. Celebrate morning, celebrate living, the laughter that sings in the heart of a child, freedom that flies at the call of the wild. Celebrate living, celebrate evening, the stars that appear at the loss of the sun, whispering winds, we are one, we are one. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate Earth Day every day. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Celebrate land and sea. Celebrate you and me. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Let's repeat it. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Celebrate land and sea. Celebrate you and me. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Every day, every day. La 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 day. La 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 day. La 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 day. La day. Everybody, celebrate Earth Day every day. Okay, let's snap your fingers. Clap your hands. Here we go. Celebrate you and me. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Celebrate land and sea. Celebrate you and me. Celebrate Earth Day every day. Every day. Every day. Let's hear those hands clapping, folks. Now, if you're at home watching this on a computer, I expect you to be either swinging your body around or clapping your hands or snapping your fingers. This is a celebration of our beautiful, our wonderful, lovely Earth, and therefore of ourselves. For we are part of it, and we've had this wonderful time today together. Thank you, Betty. How beautiful, how inspiring. And I'm glad that we were all able to be here and share in this lovely, lovely celebration of our Earth. Every day, 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 every day.
Is Earth Day. What would we do without it? All right, thank you so much. What a magnificent celebration we've had today, and this should inspire all of us to go out there and really treasure what we have and hug a tree and plant some trees and keep the bugs alive and just enjoy nature. We are part of nature. Betty, your message was just perfect. It was just beautiful. We thank you for the inspiration you've given and your tremendous service in helping us to save Southwest Florida and South Florida and the Everglades and Big Cypress and all the beautiful things that we have here in this state. And thank you to Carlos and Joan for the perfect, magnificent music today. It was just great, and got to get moving. You know, one of my goals and missions at this church is to get you people to start moving. Huh? We can't just be stiff New Englanders or stiff Minnesotans. You know, you got to learn to move when Joan sings. So that was a good beginning. That was a good beginning. And we thank Sharon on the camera, and Ed Elrod on sound, and Joe Gayton, our sexton, and our friendly greeters, and all of you that do so much. It's good to be connected in whatever way that we can. And now, as Marge DeGalbo comes forward to extinguish the chalice, please join in reciting the words in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Go now in peace and cherish and love our Mother Earth.